This is the first thing you see when you get off a boat in a Greenlandic fjord. It is not white at all. It's not a frigid, chilly desert. It is quite verdant and lovely. The hills are covered in low grass. The water is mirror-like, dark and motionless, as though it were pure icy metal. The air stings your lungs, and in front of you, it's nearly imperceptible at first, but then you see it. A residence that appears to be perched on a hill. Smoke rises up from the earth. Here on the brink of the icy Arctic, the Vikings built a completely functional farming town a millennium ago. Not a makeshift camp, not a quick visit, a community. However, this is the question that matters most. Without global supplies, without trees, and without anything from the outside world, how could a community like this endure the winter? You will enter Viking Greenland today and explore it firsthand, step by step, until it starts to feel more like a living, breathing place rather than a dry historical fact. Subscribe our channel if you enjoy such cinematic restorations. One episode at a time, new universes are rebuilt. The cold is not the true shock. The fact that this place functions is what really counts. The entire settlement would fall apart if there were just one weak point. So let's start with the fjord. Water in Viking Age Greenland is more than just a picturesque setting. The lifeblood is the road itself. Let's start where all genuine Greenland stories start. The water. Your boots scuff stones as you stroll along the shore. Although the fjord is quiet, it isn't serene. It's the kind of silence that seems to be observing you. Then you come to a realization. There is no coastline here. It's a road. The sea serves as the road system in Viking Greenland. Just as roadways link houses, fjords link farms. In the distance, a boat glides by, low in the water, loaded with goods. In a place where trees hardly grow, you wonder what could possibly be worth transporting. You'll witness the one thing these people can create that transforms everything in 5 minutes, so hold that thought. But first, take the interior route. The property appears as you ascend a mild rise. It appears to be a lump in the ground from a distance. It's startlingly intentional up close. The walls are substantial, brick-like layers of turf, stone at the base, where moisture would cause the wood to decay. It appears as though the building is being forced into the ground by the weight of the roof. This is not a style of construction. It's a survival tactic. Through a low entryway, you duck. The world gets smaller inside, flickering firelight. Near the ceiling, smoke lingers. Then you see the actual design decision. Space is not squandered. There is something in every nook. Each beam has a certain function, because every flaw in this house will be put to the test over the winter. Go back outside now. Thus, the house is merely the machine's center. What keeps it going is the true question. You enter the farmyard. You see buckets, rope, tools, workplaces, and storage sheds. Then you hear the sound. Animals. Go up there. Greenland livestock isn't comfortable. It's power, wealth, food, and status. Livestock, however, is also a risk, because this is the reality. Nobody romanticizes the life of a Viking. Your animals are the first to be threatened by winter, not you. Additionally, the settlement does not suffer if the animals perish. It's over. You proceed in the direction of the home field and the fields. This is Greenland's verdant core. Not hay, grass, apples, wheat, or grapes. They stack, dry, chop, and safeguard it. Because each bundle represents a day of survival in the future. What is the amount of hay required for a single cow? What is the maximum number of animals that a farm can sustain? Before the cold returns, how much can they store? It's not a fairy tale farm here. This is heart-pounding logistics. It also poses a more significant query. Why would anyone want to live here if everything is so perfectly balanced? You're going to discover the solution. It goes beyond farming. It's identity. You continue past the main home in the direction of a church, which is a smaller building. It is modest. The landscape is not dominated by it. However, the fact that they have a church in Greenland indicates that they are not thinking like transient settlers, which is what gives it its power. They have the mindset of a community that anticipates their presence. People congregate here, where marriages are acknowledged, where deaths are remembered, and where news is shared. You can visualize it if you remain motionless for a sufficient amount of time. A few figures from nearby farms arrive, their cloaks stiff with wind, their boots muddy, and they greet each other quietly and with a common seriousness. Here, faith is structure rather than ornamentation. The church, however, also alludes to something else. These individuals nevertheless see themselves as belonging to a larger global community. Where does that world link then? Returning to the fjord, going back to the boats. The settlement feels different now that you're back near the ocean because it's summer. Greenland summers are not pleasant. Everyone moves as if they are aware of the window's brief opening. Boats are used more frequently. Supplies change. People come to visit. Work picks up speed. A tiny landing place is seen. Stones that have been worn smooth by use. A boat arrives and ties up. A stack of merchandise awaits transportation inland. Then curiosity strikes once more. What are these structures built of if wood is hard to come by? Where are the tools made? What is the origin of iron? A society cannot be established solely on turf. What do they exchange then? This is the part of Viking Greenland that most people never imagine. The settlement now divulges its secret as you pass storage, barrels, bundles, and meticulously wrapped goods. Greenland is valuable because it provides goods that other countries want strongly enough to pay for, not because it's comfortable. At this point, Greenland ceases to be a romantic outpost and joins the economy. Ships return when commodities are exported. They signify the return of metal. They ensure that rather than becoming a stranded experiment, the settlement remains connected. Make this portion seem like a transaction with the outside world when you visualize it. A leader examining bundles, men lifting luggage. Every trade season is important, so there is a quiet urgency. You can now see why they put up with this situation. It's an opportunity as well as survival. However, let's return it to the human scale and the earth, because viewers must experience a full day from dawn to dusk if they are to feel it. Good morning. Steel gray makes up the fjord. The wind blows across the ocean in low sheets. Turf roofs emit smoke once more. As soon as they get outside, they get to work because it feels risky to be idle here. One of the tools is fixed. They carry the bucket. They tighten a rope. Animals breathe, music, steam, and shift. The home field turns into a manufacturing line at noon. Cutting, turning, stacking, and other seemingly monotonous tasks until you realize that each action is a countdown to winter. Since isolation is common here and communication is important, a boat, a neighbor, or a message may arrive in the afternoon. The duration of evening light is longer than it should be. The sky fades after turning pale gold. The animals calm down, and the farm slows down. The hay that has been kept is examined as if it were a treasure, which it is. Viking Greenland doesn't feel like a myth right now. It seems to be a real place with actual individuals who have made decisions. At its height, around 1000 AD, the decision was effective, at least in this particular instance. That would be Viking Greenland in the year 1000 AD, a planned farming community built on fjords and turf that relies on hay, boats, and discipline. Not an ice jail. Select what we go over next if you want the next rebuild. A day in the Greenland harbor when ships arrive and cargo moves, or a whole winter spent inside the longhouse. Subscribe our channel and share your preference in the comments.